Hi everyone, this is Darren from SimNation. Just doing a quick recap video for WWPF, which is our Draft Day Sports Pro Football 2024 League. It will move to 2025 after this season. Again, just doing that because I want to avoid some of the bugs. Um, we have a couple teams open. I'll mention those throughout this video. We'd love to have you if you're looking for a competitive yet friendly league. There are a lot of really good coaches in this league. They're generally very helpful. And it's just a really strong league. So we have completed, I think, 5 weeks now, and we're starting to see some breakaways. So I'll start in the AFC because I started in the NFC last time. And again, I'm not going to make this a long video. So if you look at the North, the Steelers are coming off a bye week. They're still undefeated. Don't really think that outside of Baltimore they have really played anyone other than Cleveland. But they did knock off Tampa Bay. They did knock off Baltimore. They get Jacksonville next. Baltimore's probably the story of the season so far as a CPU team. So if you want to join the league, this is probably the team to take right now, other than Minnesota. It always does that. So anyways, so Baltimore has been knocking off a lot of the better teams, especially in the NFC South. So they knocked off Invisible in week one. They took out the Bengals, took out Bio in week four, and then took out Kevin this last week. The only loss is to Pittsburgh. So right now, Baltimore's doing really good. As you can see, they have a really good pass defense that's helping them, and then they're generally scoring enough points to stay ahead. Now, they do have some problems that may develop over time with depth, mostly with people getting hurt. But right now, Baltimore is looking every bit like a playoff team. And again, this is a CPU team. Bio's struggling a little bit. He's lost four in a row. He'll figure it out. Cincinnati is another CPU team. Uh, Generally, this is their trajectory. They're not going to do much better. One of the surprises this season is Bama with Tennessee. He's got them off to a 4-0 start, so Bama's doing a really good job there. As you can see, he's knocked off Cotton at Chicago, took out JP, and took out the Detroit Lions, which used to be Brian. Brian has some time commitment concerns, so he's stepping away. Hopefully, he'll come back. He's one of the coaches I hold in very high regard, especially in both the college and the pro game. So this is JP. Jacksonville. Right now, Tennessee's way ahead. This is kind of who I thought would win this division. The other teams are just not quite there. This one's a little bit of a shock. So finally lost the game, but Soa's having a really good season with Miami so far. He beat both Shark and DP. That's no small feat. He lost to Stewart in week one, then beat Buffalo. So he's doing really good in the AFC East. But outside the AFC East, he's struggling a little bit. And of course, this week he gets Peter, which that may not end well. But generally, really good job. So if you look at it, is he's getting good rushing out of Guerrera. He's also his quarterback play has been pretty good. His rushing offense is spot on, and his defense is good enough that it's holding up against these teams. Again, anytime you beat Shark and DP in back-to-back weeks, that's big. Shark bounced back this week with a win. Shark is still probably one of my favorites to win this division. DP, as soon as he rights himself, will probably be right in the midst of it. But he knocked off one of the undefeated teams. Well, I need to check that. But he knocked off one of the best teams in the NFC West, which is LA, which is Barry. Barry is been doing a great job since he came into the league. He gets Kansas City, who's one of the hotter teams right now. This is failed reality, and then he gets Prince, and then of course he's right back into the conference play. Um, Shank is having a pretty decent season for the Patriots, but as you can see, it's his rushing game that's really in his rush defense that's really setting him apart. Moving on to the West, again, this is a little bit of a shock that you see kind of this dynamic. I didn't expect San Diego to be where they are, but they finally won one. Of course, Prince is at 3-2, and then you have Oakland and Feld fighting. Peter and Feld fighting it out between Oakland and Kansas City, which Kansas City has the game in hand because if I remember correctly, they beat Oakland. Yeah, and the one loss was to Prince. So they have a pretty rough go of it in the next 3 weeks. But so far, Pharoah Compton, who was the biggest pick in this last draft, is just having a phenomenal season. He's definitely getting the most out of him. Compton was out of Georgia, third pick in the draft, but just tremendous quarterback, and he's playing very well. Peter's Peter. He's doing his normal thing with varying things and scoring a lot of points. As you can see, he's got 246 points. He's first in the league in both offense and pass defense. Those are trademarks of Peter. Adam Johnson's having a really good season. He's got the dream wide receiver core, and he just shredded the Eagles. Again, only one loss. So definitely Peter's in good place. So if the playoffs were to start today, Pittsburgh would probably be the bye, and then you would have three other teams vying for that. Right now, if I had to guess, I think Baltimore's playoff bound. It's too early though, and then it's going to be either New England and one of the West teams are really fighting it out. So, but again, we're 5 weeks in, playoffs are still miles away, so there's not really much point in kind of saying if it started today. In the NFC, the North is a little bit of a shock. Again, Brian had some time commitment issues. This is not indicative of his coaching, and he wasn't able to upload as much as he wanted to. Cotton's struggling a little bit in Chicago. Um, you have DWK, who's having a pretty good year with Green Bay. Kind of got upset this week by the Colts. But the story here is the CPU, which is Minnesota. They are having a really good run. So if you want to join this league, my recommendation would be Minnesota or Baltimore. Things are really, really interesting in the South. They're a lot closer than I would have expected. Will I think the top two teams are what I expected to be the top two teams, which is Invisible and Kevin, Carolina and Atlanta. But again, there's not much separation going on. Now, that will change over the course of the next few weeks. I think the biggest challenge that the South has is this is the season where they essentially have to play the AFC North. Um, so right now, they're doing okay. Uh, so like I think both of them have lost one game to the North. So the Bengals are just going to be everybody's beating post. The Ravens are showing that they're not going to be. And then, of course, you have Pittsburgh and Cleveland, Cleveland being bio. So I do still think that Carolina is going to probably win this division, but Kevin's making it interesting. And we'll just see how it plays out. Carolina's breaking in a new quarterback. That is one of those things that kind of is always hard to do. A little bit that the Falcons are still a little bit one-dimensional in nature. They are probably going to have to throw the ball a little bit more, especially against human teams to just offset them. The Giants, I kind of expected this. I didn't expect the Cowboys to be 1-4. I'm way off there, but the Giants are actually doing pretty well. This division has had some struggles in recent years, but if you're also interested in joining and you're a big Giants or Eagles fan, both of those teams are open as well. The West is fairly wide open. I kind of expected this. Seattle and Arizona are open, but Stewart's having a really good season. It's good to see him bounce back. LA is a little bit down. They lost two in a row, but Barry will get that fixed pretty quickly. And as you can see, the two losses is New England is always a tough game. Even without Spoof, Seattle's still pretty dangerous. But if you look at San Francisco, Stewart's just getting it done. His one loss is to Barry. but he edged out DP, he edged out the Cardinals, so he's winning the close games, which is normally what you want to have if you're going to have a great season. Asa Garcia is hopefully coming into his own finally. He was a top draft pick when he came out. As you can see, again, third pick in the first round, but he's playing much better this season than he did, say, last season or the season before. Um, so he's definitely getting it. Like Lackey, Ford is starting to slow down just a little bit. Not much, but as you can see, these are not his normal numbers at this point. If you look at how he's kind of played over the last few seasons. Um, but he's still fast. He's still got great hands. In my mind, he's still one of the best runners in the league. So definitely should be interesting. If we look at the league leaders right now, it's not too much of a shock who are up there. Adam Johnson is up there. Arterio Bates. Houston throws the ball a lot. Daniel Denham's not a shock because, again, DP likes to throw the ball. When we look at passing touchdowns, again, it's Adam Johnson is leading the league. Compton is a good thing to see up there because he's a rookie. Rushing yards, Boudreaux, who is a former Maryland running back, is up there for DWK. And then, of course, you have Jeremy Garcia, who's Kevin's feature back. And then Anthony Colburn, who is out of the Commanders, who is also Udo's feature back. And then you have Nathan Ford. Receiving, this is kind of where you can see a little bit of the drop off with the Jets, is normally the top two of the top five are Jets. This season, of course, it's the Raiders with Bittner, who was a former #1 pick that San Diego traded, and then you have Chu. So definitely Peter's having a good season with them. And then tackles wise is it's always good to see a Bill up there, especially a linebacker. Normally you don't see like a lot of human players up there unless the whole league is human, but that's good to see. Sack wise, Dustin Sousa's up there again. He's just a machine. He's arguably one of the best defensive ends in the whole league. You can tell that Peter's doing a lot of safety blitzing because the safety's up there as well. And then interception wise, it's not uncommon to see the Jets up there. So all in all, I think over the next few weeks, and I won't probably do another recap video until the weekend, um, is I don't expect there to be any more undefeated teams. I excuse me. I don't expect any team to make it through the season undefeated. Pittsburgh has that brutal row that I talked about. Tennessee may have a better chance than Pittsburgh of going undefeated, but again, they have a pretty brutal schedule ahead as well because they have Oakland, New England, and Pittsburgh. It's because they're playing a one schedule, which means that they match up against the ones from the previous season. And then I don't really see the Vikings making it either. Now, again, a human coach may come in, but it'll be interesting to see how this game goes. This is a big one in the NFC. And then the next big one is Hill. So they have a decent chance, mostly just because they're playing a lot of, it's a CPU team playing a lot of CPU teams. Again, they got to watch this matchup, Hill. Um, so we'll see if they can pull it off. But I think that you have Green Bay who can trip them up. Chicago has the ability to trip them up as well with Cotton, but Hargrove is having a pretty good season as well. So that's it for now. If you have any questions, you want to join us, I have the links in the video. Definitely would love to have you. There are some really good open teams in this league, as I mentioned, and the league it's still early enough in the season that it's pretty wide open. I will probably this weekend do a draft preview for the upcoming draft that will be in the off season, just because SNCFL is wrapping up. Thank you and have a great night.